In this lesson, students will learn how to graph solutions to linear inequalities in two variables. Question 1. What is the solution of the inequality y less than or equal to x minus 1? Okay, so if you recall slope-intercept form, y equal to mx plus b, we graph by first plotting our y-intercept. In this case is -1 on our graph. And then from there, we used our slope to find another point. In this case, the slope is 1/1, telling us to go up 1 and to the right 1, and we end up here. If your inequality is less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, you have a solid line. So I am going to draw a solid line going through both points. And then from there, we have to determine which side of the line to shade. So as far as the shading is concerned, you're going to read the inequality as it relates to the variable y. So it's saying that y is less than or equal to. So if it's less than or equal to, you're going to shade below the line. So this is above. And of course, this is below. So we shade down here, and that's where all of our solutions are for this inequality. Describe the graph of the solutions of each inequality. All right, repeat the same process. We have a y-intercept of 5. So we're starting at 5. And from there, we're using our slope, which as a fraction is -3/1, telling us to count down 3 and then to the right 1. Now, if you have less than or greater than, you'll have a dashed line or a dotted line going through both points. So we're going to have a dashed line or dotted going through these 2 points. And now we have to determine if we're shading above or below. So we have y less. So if y is less, we're going to shade below the line. So this is above. This is below. So we shade below our line. Go ahead and pause the video, see if you can complete B, and then unpause to check your solution. All right, so if you notice, A and B have the same exact equation. The only thing different is the inequality. So it's going to be graphed the same way, starting at 5, and from that point, counting down 3, and then to the right 1. We have greater than or equal to, okay, which is going to be a solid line. Going through both of those points. And then we have to determine if we're shading above or below our line. So we have our y values are greater. Since they're greater, we shade above the line. All right. Sorry about that. I thought it was erased. So for this problem, the Science Club sells t-shirts and keychains to raise money. How many t-shirts and keychains could they sell to meet or exceed their goal? Okay, so X represents the number of t-shirts, and the t-shirts cost $10. So 10X is going to represent that amount. Y represents the number of keychains sold, and they're $2 each. So 2y is going to represent that amount. And then the total must either meet or exceed their goal. So it must be greater than or equal to 500. All right, now on this slide here, what you have is you have the graph of that equation, that inequality. So the inequality was 10x plus 2y greater than or equal to 500. So in order to graph the boundary line, you need to find the x and the y intercepts because this inequality is written in standard form. So notice they use the equation equivalent to that inequality to find the x and the y intercepts. By first finding the x-intercept by replacing y with 0, we have an x-intercept of 50. So on our x-axis, we have a point here at 50. And then they went ahead and found the y-intercept by replacing x with 0 and ended up with a y-intercept of 250, which on our y-axis is about here. So they want to know how many t-shirts and keychains could they sell to meet or exceed their goal. So notice where the shading is. Okay, the shading is in this area here. That's where all of your solutions are. Okay, so I could pick any point in that region and I'll have a solution to the inequality. For example, this point right here, if you look down, it has an x of 50. And if you look to the left, it has a y of 160. So this is one possible combination, having 50 shirts, t-shirts, and 160 keychains will meet or exceed the goal. Will the Science Club meet their goal if they sell 30 t-shirts, which t-shirts represents X, and 90 keychains, which are represented by Y? So they want you to explain in terms of the graph of the inequality. So this as an ordered pair is 30, 90. And what you can do is you can see if this ordered pair 30, 90 is in that shaded region. So let's go back and see. All right, so 30 is here. 90 is here. Actually, we don't exactly know where 90 is. We can clearly see where 30 is. But 90, because they're going by 40, 90 I would assume would be a hair above 80. And where they're going to meet is not in the shaded area. Okay, now how you can confirm if it's not a solution is by plugging it into the inequality. So our inequality is 10x plus 2y should be greater than or equal to 500. Again, x is 30. So 10 times 30 plus y is 90. 2 times 90 should be greater than or equal to 500. So we end up with 300 plus 180, which gives us 480, which is not greater than or equal to 500. So will the Science Club meet their goal? No, they won't. And the reason they won't is because they'll only make $480 selling 30 t-shirts and 90 keychains. What inequality does the graph represent? Okay, so now we started off graphing the inequality. Now you have a graph, you're going to write the inequality. All right, so I am going to start by writing slope-intercept form, y equal to mx plus b. B is the easiest to find because it's the point for which the graph crosses your y-axis, which at this point is at 2. We then have to find our rise over our run. So my y-intercept is 1 point. Here's another point. I go down 1 to the right 1. So my slope is -1 over 1 or -1. So currently my equation is y equal to -1x plus 2. Only thing left for me to do is figure out what inequality am I going to replace my equal sign with. So the shading is below, and we have a solid line. So our values of y should be less than or equal to. So y is less than or equal to -1x plus 2 is our final inequality. What inequality does each graph represent? Okay, so we're going to repeat the same process. Y equal to mx plus b is the form we're going to use. Okay, so for this first problem, our y-intercept is at 0 because it's going through our origin. And then another point is here to calculate the slope. We rise 1 and then go to the right 1, 2, 3. So our slope is 1 over 3. So currently our equation is y equal to 1 over 3x plus 0. All that's left is to replace our equal sign. So our shading is below, and we have a dashed line. So our values of y should be just less than. So y is less than 1 over 3x plus 0, but you don't write the plus 0. All right, final inequality. All right, next problem. We have a y-intercept here of -3. We're then going to find the slope by going from our y-intercept to this point. We rise 1, we go to the right 1. So our slope is 1 over 1 or 1. So our current equation is y equal to 1x minus 3. Now we're going to determine what inequality are we going to replace the equal sign with. So our shading is above, and we have a solid line. So our values of y are greater than or equal to. So y is greater than or equal to 1x minus 3. What is the graph of the inequality in the coordinate plane? So we have x greater than 3. So go to where x is 3, and you're going to have a solid line because of the greater than or equal to going through your x of positive 3. And then to determine what side of the line to shade, you'll need to read the inequality. So the inequality is telling you that x is greater than or equal to 3. And all our values that are greater than 3, they go to the right. So that's where we're going to shade, to the right. Next, we have y is less than 2. So we go to where y is 2. And this time we're going to have a dash line because there's no equal to. And because y is less, we're going to shade below our line. Go ahead and pause the video, complete the try it problems, and then unpause to check your solution. So we have y is greater than -2. So that is going to be a dashed line going through our y of -2. And because our inequality is telling us that y is greater, we shade all our greater than values, which are above the line. Next, x is less than +1. So we'll have a solid line going through +1. And then the values that are less are these values that are here on your left. So we shade the left side of the line. And there you have your concept summary.